The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, good evening, everybody. A little bit of echo there. Let's get started here. My name is Greg Smith, and welcome to the continuation of the Monday night web trainings. So excited to be here with you guys tonight. My wife and I just finally got done moving to a new home, and we are settled in, and I am fired up for what AvocCare can do for you being on this training tonight. So we're going to continue the series from dabblery to mastery. And tonight's topic deals with raising your level of attraction. And so, what we mean by that is the little things that make a big difference in your ability to recruit teammates. I'm going to highlight a few specific things that Stephanie and myself have done to make ourselves become more followable and ultimately raise our level of attraction. And then we're going to talk about becoming the best version of you. And that's something that has weighed heavy on my heart for a few years now. Is part of this business really comes down to really honing in on and becoming the best version of you. And as you do that, you will become more attractive and more followable for others to come alongside you. So before we get into this, I'll give you some quick history here. There we go, new slide. My wife and I, you may or may not know us. This may be your first webinar getting onto. We are part of the Warren Platinum organization. My wife and I are diamond distributors. We have been with AvocCare for 6 years now. And 6 years ago, I was a freight operations supervisor. I worked third shift. My wife was a full-time nanny. We passed each other to and from work every single day. I was a salary paid employee. She was also salary paid with her private nanny position. And we were looking for something. And so we were fortunate enough to find AvocCare. She got great product results, as did I. We grabbed hold of the business, and here we are 6 years later, a full 6 years, and we just reached over $1 million in total earnings with AdvoCare. And we're very excited about that and what it's done for us and our family, and what it's done for the many others that we've been able to help directly and indirectly, and ultimately what this group, this Warren organization, and AdvoCare as a whole is doing for everyday people like you and me across the country. And so tonight, as I get into this, know that these webinar trainings that we talk about going from dabblery to mastery, well, sometimes when we get into the realm of mastery, we have to talk about some subjects that may make people feel uncomfortable. To be quite honest, I'm a little uncomfortable bringing up some of the stuff tonight. You know, you would think some of the things that I'm going to talk about would just be plain old simple knowledge, and it really is, but sometimes we overlook it. And so first, in order to really understand where I'm going tonight and what we're looking to do, is we have to know what exactly it is that we do in AvocCare. You know, we in AvocCare are actually in the business, not so much of product. There gets a lot of emphasis on product, but the fact is we are in a people business. And so what are we trying to attract in AdvoCare? Ultimately, ultimately it ends up being people. We're trying to attract people. And so who are we trying to attract? And so we have to really get finite and figure out exactly who it is that we're trying to attract, what it is that we're trying to attract, and what is it that they're looking for. That way we can become more attractive in those areas. And so what we do in AdvoCare, and this has been a motto for a while, but we really help people with two main things, which is your health and your finances. And I've heard it described like this. Realistically, this business is 25% about the products, which would be the health side of things. The business is 25% about the money and the finances, but really comes down to 50% being about leadership and growing as a person to become more followable and to become more value to others. And that's what this is about, is in order to be able to attract large crowds and form a tribe of people who will follow you and do this thing called AvocCare, you have to be followable and you have to be of value. And you have to give value in order to get value. I repeat that. That's a lesson. Give value to get value. Too many people want to get, but they don't want to give. But we give value in order to get value. And so now that you know that we're in the business of people, obviously we are in the business of products, but products are no good if we don't have people to consume them. So therefore, we are in the business of attracting people. Never forget that. And so we must become excellent at attracting people who are looking to better their health, look better, feel better, perform better. People who are looking to better their finances, debt freedom, extra money at the end of the month, to be able to be at home with their kids, financial freedom, choices, security, whatever financial security means for you. And then we're also looking for people that I've found who have the health, they have the finances, but they're looking for a place where they can be of value to others, to where they can spread their gifts and they can truly give back into people. And that's what we're all about here. But here's the thing, because we are in the business of people, here's the message for tonight. When it comes to Advocare, we know that Advocare, you hear this a lot. You hear, we all start with the same distributor kit. We all start with the same $79. Well, what exactly does that mean? I'll tell you. It means that Advocare is consistent. Advocare is a consistent factor that does not change. We have great endorsers. We have great products. We have a great pay plan. We have great leadership from the corporate office. We have good shipping. We have good legal. We have an amazingly fair compensation plan, and all of those things are the same for every single person who gets involved with Advocare. That's what it means when you hear we all start with the same $79. But here's what it really means. It means the only thing that makes the difference in between success and failure comes down to you. It comes down to what is between the prospect and Advocare. So the prospect must get past us before they can get to learning about Advocare. So the number one goal that we want to do is we need to really focus on eliminating every possible variable as to why somebody would tell you no, so that they can get to the point to where they can at least say yes to you so that they can explore their options with Advocare. You know, if you prospected somebody and you gave them the wrong, you rubbed them the wrong way, they're not going to take, most likely, they're probably not going to take the next step in learning about Advocare because they couldn't get past you, the messenger. See, we're just the messengers, and to be the messenger, we must be attractive, and we must portray what our company stands for, which is health, finances, and leadership and personal growth. And so we have to always be aware of what we are projecting into the marketplace. How do we act? What do we say? What do we do? How do we look? All of those things. And so, unfortunately, people are perceiving in this world. People are judgmental in this world. That's how we grew up. It's just human nature. There's nothing you can change about that. So you have to play the game, and you have to help with their perception. We know that people will perceive age, good, bad, or indifferent. That could be too old or too young, or right in between. For me, starting out, it was too young. For some, it may be too old. But we're going to talk about ways that we can change the perception of age. We know that people will perceive your health. If you're on your journey of weight loss and you still have 50 pounds to peel off, but who knows, you may have already lost 100. They don't know that. So we have to learn how can the perception of health help you? Do you look the part? This is also known as having good posture. We need to be postured correctly. People are also looking for somebody who is financially secure. They're looking for financial security, and they're perceiving, are you financially secure? And they're also looking at leadership and personal growth. People will naturally follow somebody who they perceive to be better well off than they are. My cousin, 18 years old, just getting into college, party boy, I'm probably not going to follow him because he's not better off than I am. Same thing with when I look at a CPA or I look at a financial advisor. I want to know that they're financially better off than I am so that I'm comfortable with them managing my finances. Just like somebody wants to know that you are on the path to be better off in Advocare than where their current circumstance is. And so let's get into the next slide. And here's the question. The question becomes, would I follow me? I wrote that down. I was going through my journals today from 2008, late 2008, and I wrote that down. Would I follow me? And at the time, I wouldn't have, to be honest with you. And I'm so glad that I had a mentor in Matt who was willing to give me the tough love and the things that I needed to hear and grow in order to become who I need to become and who I am today and who I am turning into 5, 10, 20 years down the road. So I think the best way to really let you understand what I'm talking about in terms of being attractive and followable is to show you a quick little story. Back in 2007, my job did not require me to worry about being attractive or followable. My job did not require me to portray that I was going somewhere in life. My job required me to punch in, punch out, do my job, wear my uniform, go home, and that's that. So I had a sweet car, and it looked like this. It was an early 90s Honda Civic. It got about 40 miles to the gallon. It had like a little lawnmower motor inside of it, and I love that car. I really did. It was a clean car. I got it for $800. Interior was actually flawless, and it did what I needed it to do. And yes, I did have a black hood on it. You are seeing that correct because I thought it was cool. And I also, at the time, didn't look much different than this. That's a senior photo of what my hair used to look like. My hair turns into an afro. And I remember one of the first things that, and by the way, so you put me in the car, that equals money, right? That's somebody you're going to follow to be financially secure. Probably not. But I remember two lessons in this. One is you can see my sideburns in there, and Matt told me I needed to shave my sideburns or at least trim them. And I was like, I like my sideburns. But the fact was they did not help with my recruitability. They didn't help with my attractability. They didn't help me be more followable. And he also made a suggestion that I paint my car all one color. See, now you may be well off. You may be 40 years old. You may be 45, 50, 60, 35. I don't know how old you are. That's the great thing about Advocare is we attract everybody. And you may not have a car like this, and that's okay, but you may have something in your life like this, like an old pair of jeans that are holy that you wear around to the grocery store and it looks raggedy. That may be your Honda Civic. But for me, I ignored Matt's advice for a year and a half. I didn't take it. I thought it was fine. And it wasn't until I had a distributor who kept insisting that she would drive me to mixers. And I didn't catch on right away. And I'm like, why does she always want to drive? Well, long story short, she was embarrassed about my car. And when the truth came out, she said, even the first time I met with her, she laughed about it. She was like, this guy is going to help me make money? You got to be kidding me. And that's when I realized that good, bad, or indifferent, people perceive. People perceive. And so we have to be aware of these things. And so what I did is I didn't go from an $800 car and Matt didn't say, hey, go buy a $50,000 BMW when you really don't have the money that justifies it. He said, just get something clean. So I was able to pay $7,500 cash for a 1998 Honda or Toyota 4Runner, and that actually lasted me all the way up until last year. And I drove that around. It was a great car. It was clean, all one color, and it helped my perception. So hopefully that gives you an example of just exactly what we're talking about here. But there's internal values that are judged, and there's external values that are judged. And so we're looking at right here, that was external value that was being judged. But what somebody can't see is sometimes the internal. And so one is age, and here we go. It's showing up. Age is something that we cannot change. I can't change how old I am, but I can change how old I portray myself to be. I can also change my maturity level. I can also change my Facebook photos. That's something that you might not think about. And until I started thinking about it, I was kind of embarrassed about what was out there on my Facebook, especially at the younger years. But I see 40-year, people see me, I'm 28 now. Sometimes I talk about being young, but quite frankly, just to be direct, I see 40 and 45-year-olds that act like they're 20 sometimes, and they have Facebook photos that they probably shouldn't have, and they're not really thinking about, hey, I'm repping a health and wellness company, and we talk about finances, and I got pictures of myself at the bar every single weekend hanging with my homies. That's probably not going to help, because I'll tell you, the first thing I do when somebody comes to me and they're a lead or they join my team, I look them up on Facebook. And you can tell a lot about somebody's Facebook because you basically profile. It's called Facebook profile. You profile yourself, and your pictures are profiling. So you have to ask yourself, what would the CEO type think if they saw my Facebook profile? Now, if you like your pictures, you like going to the bar, there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. If that's what you like to do, I'm not condemning that. I'm just saying it's probably not something you want to flash on Facebook. And if it is something you want to do, then make sure your Facebook is set on as private as it gets and it's just shared with your closest friends. Age, you can change what you say and how you say it, what you say and how you act. You can also change how you dress. In speaking of dress, I'm gonna touch on something real quick with dress because that goes with a few different things. One thing I remember, Matt, I grew up to where I had to wear a uniform my entire life because I went to a private school. So get out of private school, you don't ever want to have to wear a polo shirt again in your life, let alone a button-up shirt. So I owned no button-up shirts, no polos. I didn't own khakis, no slacks. I just owned holy jeans and flip flops and t-shirts. And I remember Matt before a biz op requested that I buy a sport coat, a jacket, wear a jacket and jeans. And that jacket and jeans, as uncomfortable as it made me, and I really didn't want to spend money on it, but I did. And I went to Macy's and I really did, took pictures of my jacket and I'm like, Matt, does this jacket work? Should I buy this? And he's like, yeah, dude, looks good. That jacket served me very well. So the way that you dress, but dress, and this is outside of age, this deals with women, men, grandma, grandpas, young folks, and everybody in between. How we dress can make a big difference on our attractability. I'll give you an example. Stephanie and I used to live right down the street from Kroger, which is our local grocery store. And we'd be hanging out at home in our pajama pants. And we're talking like, just regular pajama pants. And sometimes we would run down to the store. And this was before we had to think about it and before we were in Albuquerque. We'd just go run down to the store, pajama pants, hair's all goofy. It's like 9 o'clock at night. You're thinking nobody's going to be there. Wrong. Somebody you know. I was in Walmart the other night at 11:30, and I ran into somebody who knew me, and they're in Advocare. And I was like, thank goodness I, am dressed okay, and my perception was good. But this was one thing we changed. One small thing that we changed was, and I remember Stephanie and I battled about this because I'm like, Steph, you can't wear pajama pants to Kroger's anymore. Like, we're trying to attract people and we're already young as it is. And I see, again, I see 40-year-olds that do the same thing. So, but you have to be aware of what you're wearing when you go into the public arena. And also, which also goes with age, is wisdom. Wisdom can raise anybody's age. Wisdom. You gain wisdom by being around mentors, Advocare in general, success schools, reading books, listening to audio CDs. If you've ever heard the expression, you're wise you're wise beyond your years. You're wise beyond your years. That is such a compliment to me because it says that everything I've been working for has got me that compliment, because when I was 22, I was not wise beyond my years. But also, as you're going through 30s and 40s, sometimes we have to catch up our wisdom to maybe to where we should be. And so working on wisdom and knowledge always helps as well. That should not come in. All right, let's see. So we talked about adding a few years here, wearing a jacket. Ladies, that could be heels. That could be putting on some slacks. That could be just a nice blouse and jeans as well. So let's move forward and talk about health. Projecting health. Here's a concept that I learned back in 2008, was that I had to start learning to associate what went in my mouth, food, what went in my mouth, plus the products I took, plus the workout I did or did not do, was directly related to my paycheck. And that's so very true. So the food you eat, the products you take, the workout you do or do not do directly affects your paycheck. Always remember that. So let's talk about, with health, things that we can do to help that projection. We can work out. See, you may be on your journey of trimming up, but if somebody sees you in the gym, they know that you're on that journey. So it doesn't matter where you are. They just need to know that you are going somewhere. Your clothes must flatter your shape. Just flatter your shape. I'm not saying wear skin tight clothes. I'm just saying wear clothes that fit you well. You got to take products consistently. What products do you take every single day? You got to be on the journey. One thing, this sounds simple, but this is so true, is just yawning in public. You are representing a health and wellness company where our number one products, Spark and M&S, deal directly with energy. You may not think anything of it when you yawn, but if you have a prospect, if you're at church or you're in some type of community outing and somebody's seeing you yawn time and time again, you look tired and you look ran down. They're probably going to second guess if Spark and M&S really work. So there's a technique. You can yawn through your nose, believe it or not, and I have mastered it. Just open your mouth a little bit and it happens, I promise. But I'm serious, guys. I remember Bob Donnelly talking about this, and I'm like, holy cow, he is totally going overboard, yawning in public, like being nitpicky. It's not that we're trying to be nitpicky or give you rules or tell you have to be somebody you don't. It is being aware of what's going on around you, being aware of the reality around you and where you are and what the arena is, and is it, all of those things. Another thing with health is hygiene. Now, this is one of those things I talked about at the beginning. It's kind of one of those uncomfortable things, but here's how I relate this. Jenny Donnelly talks about in one of her Ruby Bootcamp videos about how, let's say you're at a dinner party and the one person to your left has something hanging from their nose and nobody tells them the entire time. Nobody tells them, but everybody's thinking, man, Susie's got something in her nose. But nobody tells her. And it's not until she gets up and goes to the restroom, checks herself in the mirror, and then all of a sudden she realizes, and she's thinking, I wonder how long that's been there. And she's totally embarrassed. What you need is somebody, a friend and a mentor, who is willing to tell you, hey, there's something in your nose. Because I would rather be told just right up front, like, hey, you got something in your nose. And I would just, I would fix it. I would just fix it and I would feel comfortable about moving forward. And hygiene is one of those things where just having good breath makes a difference. I mean, check your breath. Have your wife or your husband check your breath before you leave. There's a reason we have a product called Nice Ice. It's because if you've ever been caught talking to somebody with bad breath, I mean, come on, work with me. Put yourself here, right? Your conversation, somebody's got bad breath. What are you doing? You're backing up. And they're like closing the gap and you're like, no, I'm trying to back up. And they keep coming towards you. And it's just the only thing you want to do is you want to get out of that conversation as quickly as possible because you can't stand it because you're breathing through your mouth and you have clogged your nose internally so that you can't smell their breath. Brushing your teeth, flossing. I mean, this is something we should learn when we were 5, but the fact is sometimes it's easy to get overlooked. Just always appearing put together, nicely shaved, or if you don't, just everything's trimmed well. Ladies got their hair done. You're wearing cologne or perfume. Just all of those things make a difference. Your nails are trimmed. I mean, when you're doing a 2-on-1 for guys, when you're doing a 2-on-1 and you're pointing at the Impact magazine, if you got these just daggers hanging off of there, it doesn't look good. So just trim your nails. Real simple. So moving on. Financial security. Financial security can be portrayed in the way that we dress. The clothes that we wear, are our clothes fresh? Do they look good? Are they clean? Are they wrinkled? Are they not wrinkled? What we drive. Now again, I'm not telling you to go buy a flashy car to show off and make people envious of you. It's not about having nice stuff so people are envious about you. It's about having nice things because of what they would think if you didn't. It's not about that's what we preach in AdvoCare. It's not about having the big home and the nice cars before you can get it. It's about doing the work so that you can have it. But along the way, have something that's respectable. Like my 98 4Runner. I mean, that thing was 10 years old, but I'll tell you what, I built it all the way to Diamond driving a 98 Toyota 4Runner. Okay? A lot better than my Civic. It was just one step up. So what we drive. When you take a prospect out to lunch, do you pay for their lunch? That's something that subconsciously tells somebody and portrays financial security. Your verbiage, expanding your vocabulary. An example would be talking about how cheap something is, as opposed to saying, "Is that cost effective?" Right? Cost effective, or how much does that cost? It's not. It's what is the investment, right? When you're speaking AdvoCare, here's what the investment is, as opposed to here's what your cost is. Little things like that can make a difference. Now, I'll say one of the major things, and again, men wearing jackets, button-ups, or polos. A polo, let me touch on this. When you're a trainer, are you the trainer gal or the trainer guy that just, you're the cool trainer that wears t-shirts and shorts and goes in and trains and does AdvoCare as a hobby? Or are you a business professional who is doing AdvoCare and you are a professional businessman as a trainer? There's a difference. You see it all the time in the gym. So just get a polo, just a collar. Collar makes all the difference. Women, again, we talked about just slacks, and this would be like biz op or mixers or 2-on-1s. Dressing the part. Perfume, cologne, little things like that. And here's some things I want to touch on. Leadership ultimately becomes a mindset. Some of the things that I can't touch on or even teach would be the confidence that you portray. It's the aura. You've just been around people who just portray themselves as being better off. People who are bold in their message and aren't worried about being criticized or critiqued. People will follow that because that's something internally that tells them you're strong. When you paint vision, the reason we talk about painting vision and where you're going is because that shows leadership. That shows that you are going somewhere and they want to come along with you. Upping your leadership can be reading books, surrounding yourself with other people who will better you, surrounding yourself with other people who will better you, and you have to really diagnose who do you allow to interact and feed your mind. Are they bettering you or are they tearing you down? And another thing too, subconsciously, I wanted to touch on was complaining. When you complain, you project that you are dying. Complainers, nobody wants to be around them. You know who people want to be around? The people who always lift you up. Those are the people want to be around. So make it a point to always lift people up and plant the seed of abundance with everybody you talk to. Make them feel better about themselves after you leave than they felt before you showed up. And that'll make a big difference. But when you complain, it makes me feel worse after I've been around a complainer, as I'm sure it does you. The great thing about this is no matter where you are, wrapping this up, no matter where you are and what your weakness may be, age, health, finances, leadership, as long as you're growing in one of those areas or all of those areas, and you're making it a point to become more followable in those areas, the great thing is you can bring in third-party credibility to fill the void. When I was younger, I would bring in Matt to bring in the age factor. I would bring in Matt to bring in the financial security factor. Sometimes now, when I get a young guy who's 20, I actually bring in a young guy to do a three-way call with me to bring in a lower age for them, because sometimes younger folks will look at older folks and be like, well, that's for you. That's you guys. Like, I'm in a different world. I'm 20. It doesn't make sense. So the third-party credibility can fill all of those voids. Stories in the Impact magazine, stories of your sponsor, stories of Crossline, somebody else who's lost 180 pounds over here and this and that. And then it's a matter on painting vision on where you're going as well that will fill this. And when it comes down to the end of the day, the question always comes back to, would I follow me? And the action step from tonight becomes this, if you're up for it, is you have a heart-to-heart with your sponsor, as I've done many times, and you ask your sponsor, what is it about me that you would change if you could? What is it about me that I can change to become more attractive to others? Now, don't call your sponsor up if you can't take the answer, because the answer is it's not a personal answer. They're going to give you an answer out of love. And as long as the answer is out of love and they're looking to help you, then all the better. Take it, run with it, start improving it. Some things you can't improve in just a day, but note them and start to work towards them. So would I follow me? Write it down. I hope tonight was of value, and we'll look forward to having our next Monday night training a week from tonight. Put it in your calendar. The topic will be coming out later this week. Take care. God bless.